as within the common law, and if I can just talk about the way in which domestically we deal with victims. In the common law, the victim is a witness to an event and may appear as a victim. In a murder case or the like, where the actual victim is no longer with us, the family are the victim, and at the end of the case, they can make a statement, an impact witness statement in many countries, to the court, to the judges, with a view to influencing the sentence. In the French system, the victims are actually participants. They get to cross-examine and examine the witnesses. They get to address the court on all issues. It's a much more inclusive system. But the problem is that the French domestic system it's easy to identify the victims. And when you try to apply it to mass atrocity crimes, it doesn't work. Because who are the victims? And we had some judges who were investigating judges, and they said, well, we're just going to apply the French system. But those of us in my chamber, we said, well, we need to make a difference here. We need to expand the definition of victim. And we had a perfect example of a woman who was seated in her chair every night, and she would see a group of between 10 and 20 people chained together, walking past her with guards. The music would come on to the loudspeakers in the village, and then she would hear as these people were struck on the back of the neck and killed. And then she would see the guards coming back with the chains and their truncheons. And this woman had been rejected as a victim, but she was certainly a victim. So we increased internationally the definition of victim to include the psychological victim. And as a consequence, almost everyone in Cambodia, because of their post-traumatic stress, they fall within the definition now at international law of victim. And it's very, very difficult to know what to do for these people. And I urge you, if you are ever in a position to provide psychological assistance to people as a result of war crimes, it's a very good project. In Cambodia, there are 38 psychologists and there are 3 psychiatrists. This is not possible for the well-being of the victims. Now, I can see time's marching on. I would like to play to you a very short piece. I think it was actually 7 minutes, but I apologise for that. It's an address, the very first address by any victim in the world to a court from the floor of the court. And this woman her name was Terry Singh, or is Terry Singh. Her parents were killed. She ended up by playing on their graves with her brother. She was ultimately sent to America and adopted in 1980. And she has had a very difficult life. She is now a lawyer in America, but you will see the power of what she says. And the session that she was involved in went for half an hour. And to give you an idea of the setting, she was standing directly opposite brother number 2, who had Pol Pot and Nun Chia. And they, at one point, were staring at each other. And Nun Chia just kept staring. And eventually, this woman was so powerful, he deflected. Normally, it would be the woman who would deflect. But he deflected because of the power of what she was saying. So if we could just play, I think it's 7 minutes, and I hope that you will appreciate the importance of it. It's actually within the courtroom, a small courtroom, so if we could start that.
I could not have imagined this day that I, victims, would be in a court of law face to face with the highest ranking surviving Khmer leader in such this effective court. This participation of victims in this Khmer criminal proceeding at the pretrial chamber and the other chambers is both the right and the privilege given to us by the ECCC. For this, we are very grateful, particularly to the extraordinary chambers, especially also to the office of co-investigating judges, the victims unit, and the pretrial chamber for allowing us to participate in this hearing today. We are very thankful and would like to acknowledge that the risk, this participation of the victims is the risk the ECCC is taking because it could be administratively messy, and I'm not the only victim. There are millions of the chambers is both the right and the privilege given to us by the ECCC. For this, we are very grateful, particularly to the extraordinary chambers, especially also to the office of co-investigating judges, the victims unit, and the pretrial chamber for allowing us to participate in this hearing today. We are very thankful and would like to acknowledge that the risk, this participation of the victims is the risk the ECCC is taking because it could be administratively messy, and I'm not the only victim. There are millions of victims who could potentially be civil parties. In spite of this risk, the court believes in victims. The participation of victims here reflects a confidence and belief in victims, which raise the awareness that the court realizes the interests of the victims who really was to be allowed to attend such hearing. And the confidence that the court has on us is that our voices must be heard, and that this direct engagement allows for deeper meaning. And from this direct participation, it helps us that justice must be seen to be done. This is an unprecedented opportunity. The other tribunals in the world, victims were not allowed to participate. So this is the court that is building and contributing to development of international law, and it, of course, the contribution that is very important. And thank you once again to the ECCC for honoring us victims in this way in the search for the truth and justice. We will take care to protect this confidence and trust of us in this process. And we will respect the internal rules. And we are now having some organizations, including these organizations have been cooperating with the victims' units. And I would like to thank you, and that we will care for this opportunity provided to us by the court. I am embarrassed.
Ms. Singh went on to say, "For me, and I hope the other victims may share different comments, this is not an issue of revenge, but it is about the highest respect for the rule of law and justice. When we were detained, we were not given any information. We were not informed of the charges against us because there was no rational information available as to why we were detained." She then concluded by saying, "In future, I would hope that the humanitarian consideration of victims is both practical and humane, and that the current lessons to be learned from the experiences and functional realities of international and internationalised courts will lead to practical assistance to people very much in need of assistance and consideration." And to me, that really encapsulates what international criminal law is all about. It's about the really humanitarian approach to the victims who are left. You can do nothing about those who are killed. There seems to be an unwillingness in many of our political leaders in the world to actually step in and stop these atrocities as they're occurring. But I think that we have a humanitarian duty to give all assistance to people who have been affected by civil war and conflict. There can be no higher duty because these people are left with nothing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.